Hello, and welcome to Ms. Pam Reads Christian Content, where we are continuing with Brave by Faith by Alistair Begg. And in our last video, we finished up chapter 6. Daniel came out of the lion's den alive. Alistair Begg compared the lion's den to Jesus's tomb, and that both of them came out alive by the glory of God, which is a simple truth, a very truth, and there you go. So we are in chapter 7, and it is called Take Heart, God Wins. What do you expect life is going to be like for you and for your church? How well are things going right now? And how well are they going to go in the future? Some of us are natural optimists. Our general approach is that things will likely work out fine. We like sermons and books that emphasize the victory of God and his church. To this view, Daniel 7 says it's going to work out even better than we thought. Some of us are natural pessimists. Given the Western culture and the way it is turning against Christianity, and given the pandemic and its effects that we are living through, it feels to me that more and more of us are pessimistic. We prefer sermons and books that equip the saints to walk through the suffering and rejection that we know is part of the Christian life. Daniel 7 says that if we think everything is not going to work out well at all, we're not wrong, but there is more hope than we realize. Daniel 7 moors us spiritually and emotionally in something beyond our optimism or our pessimism. It tells us that things are far worse than we thought and far better than we'd ever hoped. And it does so by bringing us a completely different way of looking at history, the world, and eternity. Welcome to apocalyptic, in quotes, writing. Subtitle, Enter the Video Game. Apocalyptic writing is literary shock treatment, a genre to be used in an emergency. It is employed in the Bible, including in the second half of the book of Daniel. And when the drama is so perplexing and so overwhelming that what needs to be said cannot be encapsulated by the normal mechanisms of addressing or describing life, God employs apocalyptic language in order to express that which falls outside the normal boundaries of our use of language. Interesting. Theological scholars have debated just about everything that is said in the second half of Daniel. Many Christians reach chapter 7 and turn into theological Sherlock Holmeses, acting like sleuths who are going to uncover secret, hidden mysteries about which to sound clever in front of Christian friends. It won't work. Watch their eyes glaze over. But the second half of the book of Daniel, beginning in chapter 7, is not included in the Bible. Oh, okay. Just so that we can argue about exact timings and enjoy trying to work out what each image corresponds to in history, but never actually derive anything helpful for real life from it. Okay. I got stuck there for a second. I'm like, what do you mean it's not included in the Bible? So I had to read a little ahead to see what they were saying. Okay, it is included in the Bible. You might think that's what the first 6 chapters were about, weren't they? Exactly. Remember, the purpose of the book of Daniel is to say again and again, essentially the same thing, that God is in charge of the whole universe and you can trust him. So that is what the second 6 chapters of the book are about too. It is the perspective that changes. The truth is no longer being told in terms of the unfolding historical drama of the experience of those who lived in exile. It is now being described in a very different, amazing dimension. The way to understand these verses is to picture them. Some of us find that harder than others. If you live in a world of video games, you'll find this much easier than if you live in a world of books. Gamers are finally attuned to seeing something visually and then making deductions from what they see. And Daniel 7 is like one big, unfolding, rapidly moving video game. But regardless of whether you are naturally a gamer or a reader, Daniel 7 is not straightforward. As the theologian and historian Chad Van Dixhoorn puts it, mapping the high points of the Bible is tiring work, but it will be worth it. Daniel 7 opens with him shifting to the first person and saying, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, verse 2. He's asking us to look, to watch. So here is the first part of the chapter. Behold, the four winds of heaven were stirring up the great sea, and four great beasts came out of the sea, different from one another. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Then, as I looked, its wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the ground and made to stand on 2 feet like a man. And the mind of a man was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second one, like a bear. It was raised up on one side. It had 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. And it was told, arise, devour much flesh. After this, I looked, and behold, another, like a leopard, with 4 wings of a bird on its back. And the beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. After this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man. In this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Verses 2 through 8. So, and then he asks, so what are we seeing? I hope he's going to explain it. Subtitle, 4 empires and a terrifying man. The 4 beasts Daniel sees each rise from the stirred up sea, verses 2 and 3. In the Bible, the sea often represents the chaos of a sinful world. For example, Isaiah 57, verse 2, and Psalm 68, verses 21 and 22. Likewise, the Babylonians thought of the sea as a monstrous place, and their myths told of monsters that came up out of it. Now the wind blows from heaven, and as a result, these beasts emerge, terrible and powerful, as we shall see, but nevertheless, not outside the control of heaven. Because we've already read Daniel 2, we can safely assume, I think, that we're dealing here with the same empires as there. Further, just like today, back then, nations often represented themselves with an animal. So today, Scotland uses the rampant lion, Russia the bear, and the USA, the eagle. If you're American, be thankful that Benjamin Franklin did not get his way. He suggested a turkey. And in Daniel's vision, we therefore see a lion with eagle's wings. This represents Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon. Babylon had this as a symbol on many of its gates. So Daniel must have been familiar with this simply from living in the city. A bear, the Medo-Persian Empire. This bear was likely raised up on one side because one side of the Medo-Persian Empire was stronger than the other. This is not a teddy bear. It is a scary brute with 3 ribs in its mouth. The point here is probably straightforward. It had a voracious appetite. It devoured people. A leopard, swift and dangerous, with wings to further speed its progress and 4 heads so that it could look in different directions simultaneously. What kind of an empire is being described here? Again, it matches the history of the empire of Alexander the Great. He moved with unmatched speed to destroy the Medo-Persian Empire. With 30,000 troops, he took on the power of the Medo-Persian Empire in a number of battles in which he was opposed by between 150,000 and 800,000 soldiers. And he won them all. So that by the age of 32, he controlled Greece, Egypt, Persia, and further east to the borders of India. Notice here that Daniel says that dominion was given to the 3rd beast, verse 6. In the history books, it seems that as though Alexander seized his power. No, says Daniel, his power was given by God. How do we explain this empire? Dominion was given to it. How about much later, the British Empire? Dominion was given to it and taken from it. The rise of the Soviet Empire, of the United States, of yes, even North Korea. Dominion was given to each of them. These kingdoms are not accidents or a diversion from the divine plan. The fourth beast is confusing because there is no point of resemblance to any creature on earth. It's as though this state is so terrifying and dreadful that no creature or combination of creatures can begin to describe its nature. It had iron teeth. It devoured. It broke in pieces, and it stamped upon what was left with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it. And the brutality and the terrifying nature of the advance of Rome is recorded here in this visionary picture. The horns donate power. Most animals have 2, but this one has 10. Don't try to match them to Roman kings or European nations or whatever else. They simply mean that this empire was really, really powerful. And then the vision focuses on a little horn. It seems to grow more powerful than any of the other horns. It looks as though it is essentially evil personified. It has human eyes and a mouth. It seems to represent an individual or a type of individual, very possibly the person or people to whom Tom is referring in 2 Thessalonians 2 when he describes the man of lawlessness. There he is speaking to a church facing increasing persecution from the might of the Roman Empire and wondering when Jesus will come back, or if he already has, and what is going to happen to them as his people. And Paul says, for that day of Christ's return will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God. Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things? and you know what is restraining him, but now, so that he may be revealed in his time. For the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains it will do so until he is out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord Jesus will kill with the breath of his mouth and bring to nothing by the appearance of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan, with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. And that's verses 3 through 10. I am running low on battery. I'm going to stop a little sooner than I thought. Right there with those Bible verses for you to ponder until we return. All right, you guys. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will see you next time.